Les Miserables is famous for playing in a black box. So although there's wonderful sets that come in and out, you are in a black box environment. We don't need to be in a black box. We give you the world. We give you the mountains of France. We give you the docks where Valjean works. You see the battleships. You see the full scale of Paris in all its majesty. And you go on this physical journey with Valjean.
To start the film, the brief was, we want a biblical start to the film. It must feel immense, the sort of thing that you see in Spartacus.
Today we are in 9 Dock in Portsmouth Naval Base. This is a used dock, but they've never had filming before, and today has been a logistical adventure. Huge amounts of equipment, cranes, water in the dock, water out the dock, lots and lots of permissions, lots of red tape. They're not used to having hundreds of people not wearing hard hats, working in this environment or wading around in water, and certainly not singing.
Okay, thank you.
I worked out a very simple rhythm, but to get 150 people to do that all together at the same time, and they had these huge wave machines and water cascading down, they were up to their chests in water, and they couldn't hear the music at all. So I'm on a god mic sort of screaming over the music to make sure that they could keep in rhythm.
And then I'm standing on a little stand with a microphone, singing the lyrics, basically, and waving my arms around like some demented windmill. But it was thrilling to see it. I mean, I had no idea how big it was going to be.
As the song went, I dreamed a dream, and I never think it would be this size. I mean, this is going to be an amazing opening to this film.
This afternoon, I was just remembering the lyrics of what I have done, sweet Jesus, what I have done.
My A camera operator, Zach, who's done many, many feature films, came out of the Portsmouth days saying that's the most epic scene I've ever shot in my life. And I was kind of, really excited to hear that.
Look down, you'll always be a slave.
Greenwich, the Royal Naval College, is quite a well-known location in Britain for using for big-scale filming. And it hadn't occurred to us at the beginning because it's so famously British. But when we went down there and realised the classic architecture there gave us 4 sides, by some trickery later on there'll be some French roofs added, etc., we could really make it work.
Action, go!
Napoleon constantly built elephants to celebrate his wild achievements in his Egyptian campaigns. And so he'd built one in the Place de Bastille. But at the time of Victor Hugo, it's very described in the book as this giant elephant that was built out of plaster, but he never got the money together. So this giant edifice just slowly rotted, and the plaster began to crumble, and the ragamuffin children then all moved in, as it was the only place they got to sleep that was warm.
In the show, you only hear mentioned Lamarck's funeral. One of the things I personally found most satisfying about making the film is seeing scenes that did not exist in the musical brought to life in the film.
Do you hear the people sing the song of angry men?
It was challenging because we had horses and soldiers and weapons.
On a heavy extras day such as this one, we're talking about 420, 430 people a day. As you can see, the scale of things is immense.
It's massively satisfying that we were able to do something so vast, so sort of full of story and so cinematic.
Belton House is being used as Marius's family house, so it's absolutely brilliant.
Every day we'll remember that night and the vow that we made.
It has a great facade with a French mansard roof on it. And then inside it, the man who built it, Ralph Montague, employed lots of French painters, furniture makers, gilders, glass makers, and so on.
Boughton is unique in the sense that between 1760 and 1900 the house was not used, so it fits beautifully in with the period in which they're filming. And this is the very first time we've ever had filming at Boughton House, so we thought we'd start small.
Today we're at Boughton House for the wedding feast. The staterooms we're mainly using for the wedding, but in addition to that, Boughton was able to give us some of our interior tenements and the interiors of the lodgings for Rue de l'Homme Armé. When you approach a house, we do an awful lot of clearing furniture that's very precious, build trackway in so that all our trucks won't sink into the ground, and we provide our own power. We are 200 crew and then extras. That's a lot of people in your house. So we're just incredibly careful. Coming to Boughton is a dream come true, and hopefully they've enjoyed the experience too. Each location has been pretty challenging, but we've been able to expand some of the story that Victor Hugo writes about that the musical on stage just physically wouldn't be able to do. We hope that it gives it, more depth, and hopefully, we do it all justice.
Well done, guys, much better.
It was the hardest movie to cast that I've ever done and will ever do, because you have to find that perfect storm of actors who can sing and act.
It's a real actor-singers show, that you don't have to be a great dancer. It's not about showbiz, it's about storytelling. It's amazing parts.
I wanted to find those actors who, when they sung, you felt in your heart it was their first choice method of communication.
The minute we decided we were going to do it, it was like a talent magnet. I mean, everybody wanted to be in it.
Every man and his dog went for this film. Everyone wanted. I've never heard my agent more excited about a film.
Every Hollywood actor at some point probably was in a musical of some description, so everyone sort of came out the closets with these singing voices.
There were probably two requirements for doing it. One was everyone signing up to the idea of singing live. The second was Hugh Jackman existing, because I think if Hugh Jackman didn't exist, I wouldn't have made this film.
Once I knew I had the part, I had created last year a one-man show for myself, so I decided to do a 3-month run on Broadway from October through to Christmas, because I figured 2.5 hours a night, 8 shows a week was going to be the kind of training I'd need to do this. It really has held me in good stead.
Through all the performances he's been doing on Broadway, the range of his voice has developed considerably.
Look down, don't look in the eye.
I've never felt a role that will require or does require more of me in a concentrated period. All the things I've done leading up to this, whether it be the stage work or the film work, I feel are coming together for this role in this movie.
Retrieve the flag.
Hugh Jackman from early on said, when I'm a convict, I want to shave my head and I want to lose as much weight as I possibly can while keeping the strength that I would have if I was doing manual labour as a convict. And the regime he put himself under to get to this extraordinary place where he, had no fat on him but was still strong. None of this I required him to do. He wanted to do it.
It was important to tell the story that he'd been a prisoner for 19 years, so, there was no bread and butter pudding going around. There was very limited food. He was also known for his strength, so I was in the gym 3 hours a day. Then once that had finished, it was heaven. I got to eat.
That was 2 sets. Imagine 19 years of that.
Valjean is a fascinating character because he constantly is striving to be a better person, to live up to what he thinks God wants from him, what God deserves.
Who am I?
And constantly underneath it all feeling like he's falling short.
Who am I?
Jean Valjean.
I think that's something that all of us can relate to.
That's unbelievable.
Hugh's spirit is so special that you understand the spirituality of Jean Valjean. I don't think if you didn't have it inside you, it could ever be convincingly acted.
Never liked you there.
He is just the most brilliant singer and leader, and he is amazing.
The minute he said yes to doing this, it's been a
a great ride because he just brings so much to everything.
Having Hugh lead has made everyone up their game.
It's been a rock for everybody around him, all the people that have come to the gig that have been nervous or whatever. And, you know, it wasn't exactly that he was hiding his nerves, but he has been very emotionally constant.
Can this be true? I don't believe what I see. A man your age, to be as strong as you are.
I couldn't believe my luck to discover that one of the biggest movie stars on the planet and one of the world's great actors was a passionate musical man with a background in it and a fantastic voice.
I had seen him just as he was starting his career doing musicals in Australia. I always did remember that his first love was musical theatre.
You make me think of a man from years ago, a man who broke his parole. He disappeared.
It just became one of those things where once it was on my radar scope, it was just something that I just really wanted to do, you know, and I wanted to spend that time with music in my life.
I really loved Getting Arrested by Russell Crowe. That was the first time I really saw his Javert, and it just chills everywhere. And I was like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be really upset right now, but God, he's good.
I have heard such protestations every day for 20 years. Let's have no more explanations. Save your breath, save your tears.
I've tried to make his confusion a little wider, a little deeper, and tried to make his conclusion come from a different place.
For Annie Hathaway, I mean, this is an extraordinary dream story. Her mother was the stand-in for Fontaine on the American tour.
Anne grew up on Les Miserables. Her mother was in the first national company for me. She was brought up in the dressing room.
When I auditioned Annie in New York, I knew how much it meant to her, and of course I tried not to be swayed by it because it had to be about the performance.
We've got to pray away at the end of the day.
Luckily, the performance showed the years of yearning in a way.
Yes, it's true. There's a child, and the child is my daughter. And her father abandoned us, leaving us flat. Now she lives with an innkeeper man and his wife, and I pay for the child. What's the matter with that?
Fontaine, she really is the most miserable. And there's something about the depth of her suffering that gives life to the love that you experience in the rest of the film. She lives in a cruel world that breaks her down. And by the end, the only way that she can survive is, I'm sorry, it gets me emotional. The only way that she can survive is to turn her heart to stone, which is torture for her. And it's really unfair. She hasn't done anything to anyone. It's just the way it is.
What can I do? It pays a debt. 10 francs may save my poor corset.
She wanted to get her hair cut for real in a lovely lady scene, which again I was amazed at.
Well, it's never an option in the stage show. Anytime you are given something that allows you to go deeper inside of a character, get closer to them, mesh with them, it's a gift.
She had the idea that she wanted to lose weight for the death of Fontaine and make that much more real. I would never require an actor to lose weight, but she wanted to do it.
Over the course of 5 weeks, I lost 25 pounds. And I lost 15 of those pounds in the last 2 weeks. So it was very intense and very extreme. And to be honest, if I'd stopped and really thought about what I was doing, it probably would have felt too hard. Any kind of suffering that I was going through, I wouldn't feel it as suffering. I would have felt it as she would, which was instant transformation.
'Cause at its turn so cold. 'Cause at its past your bedtime.
Les Miserables is unusual in that halfway through the movie you double your cast size and you introduce these new heroes who you've never met before. That switch should feel exciting. The key was, I think, about casting. I searched long and wide for my Cosette, and Amanda, she has that amazing ability to command both disciplines, who can sing and act.
This change. Can people really fall in love so fast?
This is a musical that she grew up with, and she wanted this part more than anything, and it was incredibly emotional, you know.
In the novel of Les Mis, Cosette is always described as this lark,
And that's what her voice is like. It's almost like a bird. It just sort of floats.
In my life, there are so many questions and answers that somehow seem wrong.
Cosette is the main source of light and hope and love, true love in this story. She's choosing between her father, the only man she's ever known, and this man who's completely taken her over, her heart over. It's absolutely true love, and she knows, with all her heart, this is who she's going to spend the rest of her life with.
Samantha is a really, really great actress and is going to surprise a lot of people in this depth that she brings to Cosette.
She was just like a ghost to me. 1 minute there, then she was gone.
Eddie was my dream casting, but I never would have necessarily assumed he could sing at this level, and he's turned out to be fantastic.
And the day you might also have known how the world may be changed in just one burst of light, and what was right seems wrong, and what was wrong seems right.
Getting the part was about proving to Claude Michel and Cameron that I had the potential vocally to be able to deliver what it needed. It's the second you got the part, there was great excitement. And then there's the sort of sick punch in the stomach reality that you've actually got to play those parts or sing those songs.
His voice is so strong. He's got this like crazy falsetto that's so strong, which means he can sing so high, but yet so soft. Effortless.
I am lost. A hard
I think 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, it would have been very difficult to cast this film. And we just happened to hit a moment in time where there is a group of great actors and also of really, really good singers. And that's the cast we see before us today.
Every announcement they made, starting with Russell or Anne, Amanda, Eddie, every announcement that came, I was like, yes, yes. It was amazing to me.
We all are bringing something different to the table, and I do feel like it is kind of the perfect cast.
I was incredibly impressed at how much effort and care went into the preparation of these actors and how much they thought about how the medium should work and how they instinctively understood the intimacy of singing on film as opposed to singing on the stage and what that meant for their performances. The actors are kind of evangelical about this project in a way almost more than anything I can ever remember. I mean, it's very, very special.